Welcome to EdSmart's training video module for DESA schools. In this tutorial, we'll be learning how to get going with EdSmart, covering the following modules: introducing EdSmart, how to send a broadcast, creating a slip template with a workflow, using a template to send a slip, the parent's experience, and analytics. So what is EdSmart? EdSmart is a cloud-based school organisation system, or SOS, for digital administration and community. The platform streamlines operations and improves productivity for individual and multi-campus schools, school bodies, and school networks. Tasks that previously relied on significant human labour are transformed into invisible processes that take care of themselves. Staff time is liberated, information is available at a glance, and data is aggregated for more robust analysis and insights. EdSmart is about enabling schools to automate routine processes, build community engagement, optimise operations and communication, control and secure data, and create a working model for a more sustainable future. Schools run better with EdSmart. It's that simple. To get started, let's have a look at the dashboard. The dashboard is the first screen you see when you log into the platform. It may look slightly different based on your account type and permissions. You can see there are 3 sections here on the top right. The Help button, a bell icon for your notifications, and the Settings cog with your name and school displayed beside it. You can see here in Harry McClary's notifications, they currently have none, but this will change as the platform is used. Users will now get notifications about the status of the task they initiated within EdSmart. This includes importing of data using CSV files, exporting of slip responses, and school forms data. Users will only be able to see notifications for the tasks which they have triggered and not for other users' tasks. As mentioned before, there are 2 account types with EdSmart: administrators and users. Harry McClary is an administrator and has 3 extra options at the bottom left panel: users, form templates, and reports. Bitsa Maloney is a regular user and does not have these 3 bottom options. Administrators can see everything in the platform. We recommend having a few main administrators, but not too many. An example of an administrator may be your school's principal, IT administrator, or EdSmart champion. User accounts would involve the rest of your school. Another difference is that administrator account has access to settings in the Settings cog section, whereas the regular user does not have this option. Let's have a look at customizing the dashboard. This functionality enables you to unlock some widgets on the dashboard and move them to other parts of the dashboard, remove them entirely, or move your major tasks to positions on the dashboard to access them more regularly. To customize the dashboard, click on the blue Customize button here, just below your main toolbar. Staff members in a school can have different roles that they undertake, which may require a staff member to use different parts of EdSmart or undertake different tasks. Using the concept of a customizable dashboard, you can arrange the dashboard to suit your needs. As a result, you can work more efficiently by having those parts of EdSmart that you work with more often at your fingertips. You can see here there are 2 sections to customizing the dashboard: the large horizontal section and the smaller vertical section, both outlined with a faint grey border. To remove a widget, simply click on the grey drop-down and press Remove. the left-hand side, you can see a panel of additional widgets. To add a widget, simply click and drag to its corresponding area. Certain widgets will only go to certain areas. This will be highlighted by a red border around the corresponding area. Larger widgets can only go in the larger horizontal area, whilst the smaller widgets can only go in the smaller vertical area. You can also move your widgets around by clicking and dragging up or down based on where you'd like your widgets to go. To save your customization, simply click the blue Save button at the top left. Now that your dashboard is customized, let's deep dive into the Help section. There's a reason I've waited till now to do this. It'll take you to the EdSmart Help Centre, Department for Education User Manual Index. From here, you can access tips, tricks, and how-to guides, including frequently asked questions from parents and from other schools. Let's go through a couple of examples. Remember how we just went through customizing the dashboard? If you forget those steps, by clicking on the Customizing the Dashboard guide here, you can see that everything we went through is in this knowledge base article, including actual screenshots for visual reminders. This has been strategically set up by our EdSmart team to give you the opportunity to find answers before needing to ask the questions. You can also click if you found the article helpful. All the lessons we'll go through in this video and other training videos will be re-accessible via the Help Centre if you ever need to revisit them. Let's scroll down and have a look at what's available. Everything from broadcasts, sending slips, slip response actions, templates, workflows, integrations, other useful features. There's a part here called Content Specific to the Department. This is going to be very useful being a part of the Department of Education. We scroll down further to see student lists, contacts, students, and, as mentioned before, the frequently asked questions from parents and schools. Yes, we did find this helpful. Now let's have a look in the settings section. You can see that there are multiple options in the settings menu. For the purpose of today's training, we'll be focusing on template categories and slip and form folders. Let's click on template categories and have a look. You can organise your templates into categories to make it easier to group them by types or purpose. You must be an EdSmart administrator to do this. You can see here there are already some examples. You might have additional examples such as school events, incursions, excursions, or administration. By clicking on the View icon, you can see the details of this category. You can further edit this if you wish to rename your template category or give different user groups permissions to access this category. For example, today we'll be giving the Donaldson's Dairy principal access to the Department Templates category and clicking Save Changes. An administrator can pick and choose which user groups have access to different template categories. By doing this, new users to the platform can't access what you don't want them to, in case of accidental deletion of templates. You can see now, Department Templates has a green tick in the Assigned User Groups section, indicating that a specific user group now has access to this category. Let's go back to Settings and have a look at Slip and Form folders. You can organise slips and forms into the current and archive folders, as well as custom folders. Custom folders are a great organising tool that helps you to categorise and catalogue your slips, broadcasts and forms. Today we'll be adding in a new folder. For example, a folder, Senior School Excursion Slips 2023, can be used to save all of your 2023 excursion slips into. This will also make it easier to search and find an older slip from previous years as you continue using the platform over time. Let's go back to Settings and back to the dashboard. Now let's have a look at broadcasts. The broadcast feature lets you send emails and/or SMS text messages to parents without needing a response back. You create the broadcast in a similar fashion to sending an online form to parents, but there's no need for them to respond. A broadcast is great for distributing your school's newsletter or sending alerts or updates to a group of parents. To add a new broadcast, click the blue Add New button. For the purpose of today's training, we will be using the default broadcast template. There are a few mandatory fields in a broadcast, including the title, who to send it to, student lists, selecting one or more students if need be, time and date to send. For today's training purposes, the title of today's broadcast will be Bus Delayed, Student Leadership Trip. You have the option to send the broadcast to parents or to students. If you send the broadcast to students, you can CC the parents. If you send the broadcast to parents, you can CC the students. For today's example, we'll select none. We're going to select the student leadership group as the recipients, and the broadcast date will be today's date, and we'll make it for 9 a.m. If you select 9 a.m. and the current time has lapsed, the broadcast will be sent immediately. You can choose to send the broadcast out immediately or at a specific delayed time. You can select whether you send the broadcast by email or by SMS. And you can choose to save the broadcast to a folder if you wish. For today's example, we're going to be saving it to the Senior School Excursions 2023 folder that we made earlier. You can also send a copy to users or user groups. We'll be sending a copy to the Donaldson's Dairy principal for training purposes. Type in your text message to the contacts. Note that it has a maximum of 150 characters as it is a text message. You can click on the blue preview button to see how your SMS will be received by contacts. You can type in an email, which has a lot more character availability as it is an email, not a text message. Once you finalise what you want your email and SMS to say, click Next. You can see now that your broadcast is in draft and has a list of who you wanted to send it to, who it's relevant for, the date and the time. It also shows a preview of how it will look to the parents. Click Queue Broadcast to Send and click OK. Now the pink draft has changed to blue queued. The workflow of this broadcast shows that there isn't anyone to approve it, so it will go straight out. When you click back on the dashboard, you can see that your broadcast has been sent under the My Current Work section.
Now we're going to be having a look at how to create a basic slip template with a workflow. So we're going to head over here, Form Templates, add a new, Parent-Student Slip, and then click Create New Form Template. So for the form, fill out all of the details. I'm going to start with the permission slip for excursions and incursions. You also need to put a description of the form. That's the two compulsory fields done. There's a whole heap of other fields where you can also configure your slip template. Your dashboard allocation. Remember, the dashboard is your landing page. And as this is a slip, the most common link is usually send a new parent-student slip. You can attach it to a category. The default is none. If you wish to use categories, they need to already exist. An administrator needs to have already created them. I'm going to use student activities template. When slips are created from this template, I would like them to be saved into a folder. Again, the folders have to be pre-created by an EdSmart administrator. I'm going to save all of the completed slips from this one by default into the activities folder. I don't wish to routinely send a copy to any particular user or user group, so I'm going to leave that blank. I don't require a file to be attached. I don't wish to hide the student name and due date, and I don't require a graphic signature. Remember that in EdSmart, the parent's email address, one email address per contact for a student, is used as the proxy for the signature. You may wish to use the slips workflow in broadcasts that you send out to parents based on the particular slip. The default is no, and I'm going to leave it as no for my form. Now we're going to design our template. The first thing I like to do is add an explanatory read-only text block. Here you'll include instructions to staff so that when they use this template, they know what to do. For example, check the school calendar for date or availability, complete this slip at least 4 weeks prior to the event. Now we add the fields for our template. I'm going to add a text field. And I'm going to make this field required. I'm going to add an option list. In this instance, if they choose incursion, I'm going to enable the other field and I'm going to request some extra details. I'm going to add another option list. Option lists are useful in EdSmart to configure different parts of your template so that you can have one template covering multiple situations. This one is a question. I'm going to make no my default value. So it will be no unless the person filling out the slip in the first instance selects yes. Now I'm going to add a text field. This one's called cost. It's going to be a hidden field, and it will only show up if there is a cost for families. The last text field I'm going to add is just teacher in charge. Now that we've added our fields to the top part, we're going to move into, I'm going to save our template. And then I'm going to move into the configurations tab. If there is an additional cost to our families, so if it is yes, then I want cost to be both visible and required. Now for the parent section of our template. You'll notice down here the contact response. There is only one contact response per parent slip, and it's automatically added by the EdSmart system. You can choose the response that you would like. In this case, I'm going to select permission given, not given. I'm also going to add a text field. Now you notice if I try and add this text field, it doesn't go. That's because I need to go to the parent-student section, and I need to get my text field from there. Let's save our template. Now we're going to edit the workflow for this slip. The standard workflow for a slip is to create it, queue to send, and send. You can also add approval pairs, that's a send for approval and approve, between steps 1 and 2. In this instance, I'm going to use the principal as the approver. It's a user group, it's based on a role, and there's one person in it. It's easier to maintain your templates in response to staff movements if you use role-based user groups instead of individual names in your template workflows. That way, you only have to update the user group membership rather than update every template that uses the person you need to change. Updating user groups is an administrator function on the EdSmart platform. So now we have create, send for approval, approve the slip, queue slip to send, and send. Over here we've got reminders. Because key people can get quite busy, we're going to build in a reminder so that the approver will receive a reminder 2 days after their initial notification. That will only go out if they haven't already approved the slip in that time. Otherwise, they won't receive a notification. Now our template is ready to use. Now we're going to have a look at how a regular user on the platform would use the template we created previously. See over here in the Get Started widget, this is the link to the template that we created earlier. We'll have a look at the parent experience and explore the additional information that becomes available to you once you've sent your slip. From your dashboard, click on the template in the Get Started widget's Send a New section. Now we'll fill in the required fields. You can add more than one student list or have a mix of lists and individual students. Today, I'm only sending this slip to the student leadership students. I'm going to require this slip to be returned by the 1st of June. I'd like a reminder on that date for all of the parents who haven't yet responded. I could have repeat reminders every hour, every 10 days, up to a maximum of 10 times, but I don't need reminders this time around. With the slip date and time to send, if I select today and 9 a.m., which is in the past, then the slip will be sent as soon as it is approved. Remember, this slip has a workflow, so someone needs to actually approve it before it can be sent. I could also schedule it for some time in the future. If that time is after the slip has been approved, then the slip will just sit in the queue waiting for the appropriate time and day to be sent. Otherwise, if it's in the past, it will be sent immediately once it's approved. Another section that schools find useful at various times is this close responses after this date. Now, it may just be that you don't wish to receive any more responses to your slip after the due date or after the date that you specify here. It's also useful if you've sent out the slip and you need to come back and edit the closing date to sometime in the past so that it's no longer available for parents to view. You can find out more about that in our help section. What to do when a slip has been sent, but there are some changes to be made. A useful article if you're ever in this situation. In addition to a close responses date, you can also limit your responses. You can limit them to the first 10. Maybe you've only got 10 seats on the bus. You can also have a wait list. Today, I don't need to do that. No need to limit the responses. We're also going to put in the date of the activity in our calendar tab. This will show up in your calendar widget on your dashboard if you've got that set up. We can also require payments. If you want to find out more about EdSmart payments, there is a video also available through the help menu. No payments required for this particular slip. Let's just go back to completing the details of the slip so that we can send it for approval. There's no additional cost for this one. However, if there was, this field becomes visible for me to enter the amount that's required. No cost. Don't need that field. The default in EdSmart is to not require a graphic signature. You can require it, in which case this box will open up in the slip for parents. But remember, the email address is the proxy for the signature for the parent. So here are the details. I've created my slip. It's in draft form. The student leadership student list. No closing date. The calendar is entered. I'm going to send it for approval. And now my slip is off to be approved. Now I'm logged in as the principal, and sure enough, under requiring your action is the slip. Can review everything that's been added. Yep, that looks good to me. Although I'm curious about the date. You don't always have to approve the slips that come your way. Sometimes actually you might need to not approve. So in this instance, that's what I'm going to do to show you what happens. It's currently not approved, and you'll notice that it's been sent back to the person who created the slip in the first instance. BITSA has made the required changes to the slip and it's back for approval. I'm going to approve it this time. Immediately after I approved it, the slip has been queued to send and it'll be sent in the next few moments. I could cancel the send of the slip if there was a problem, but I don't need to in this instance. Our slip has been sent. There it is. Here is the email that is sent to one of our parents. They can click on this link to respond, or they can copy and paste this link into their browser. They can also add the event to their calendar because we filled out the calendar tab on the slip before we sent it. The parent has clicked on the link and now they're going to submit the slip. Contact details aren't different on the day, and I give permission. Once a slip has been sent, there are a number of things that you can do with it. Here's the slip that we just sent previously. I can go in and have a look at the detail of the slip. I can see how many people have responded. So far, only one person has given permission. If I go and have a look at a permission slip that was sent out earlier, you'll notice that in the responses tab, I've got a slightly different setup. So here I can see the parents or the students who've been given permission to go. I can see who did it. Here Renee was the parent that answered. In this instance, Slinky Malinky has gone in and actually made the amendment to the slip on behalf of the parents. I can also see that this parent or this student's parents have not yet viewed the slip at all. I could resend it if I needed to remind them. And I can see that for this student, the parent has opened the email, but they haven't actually responded. I can also see that this student was not given permission. In addition, I can look at some analysis of the slip's responses. I can see 2 people have given permission, and I can see who they are. I can see 1 person has not given permission, and I can see which student that is. I can also create student lists. All students, the ones who have responded, maybe the ones who have responded positively, or the ones who have not responded. I can also send a broadcast to the people who have not responded, perhaps in order to remind them to do so before the closing date. I could also send one to the positive responses, thanking them for getting back to us, or the people who have responded, again, thanking them for their responses. I can also see that there's a reminder due to be sent on the date of the actual closing of the slip.